America, my name is Osei-Frimpong. Today we're going to talk a little bit about justified anti-Judaism. I was going to name this podcast Justified Anti-Semitism, but I feel like that might send off too many censors, so we're going to go with justified anti-Judaism. So what do I mean by justified anti-Judaism? I'll start off by saying that there's a casual assumption that Zionists take what is a nationalist property holding politics and kind of conflate that with the Jewish religion, which is distinct from any claim about property rights and statehood and anything like that. There's a popular claim that there's an easy distinction between what we can talk about as property rights, even we can talk about civil rights and political rights, and then on the other hand, religious freedom. Right? There's a casual assumption that these two are properly distinct. Well, they can be justified as distinct as a modern invention, and I'm going to talk about that later. But you really can't assume that a person's religion doesn't also conflate their property entitlements, their entitlements towards family and even in gender relations, civil rights or civil entailments, even if they're not rights, they're civil entailments given within a certain religion. Like, obviously, I should do business with people of my religion rather than people without outside of religion. Obviously, I shouldn't charge people within my religion interest, but I can charge people outside of my religion interest. Like, it can be a part of one's religion to have all of these particular civil commitments. It can be. Religions can come with property commitments. Religions can come with civil commitments. Religions can come with political commitments. They can come that way. Now, in modern times, they don't for reasons that I'll get into later, but to assume that religions can easily abstract these civil, political, family, and property commitments is to assume modernity on what may be pre-modern religions. Right? So there might be a conflation. So people who interpret their sacred texts to include certain property claims, certain civil claims, certain family claims, and certain political claims, they might be justified within that religion. Because remember, religion just means re ligere. So we get the word ligament from like the tie that binds, a tie that ties one bone to another. It's called a ligament, same word. So re just means concerning or the thing. And so it's like the thing that binds us all. And that's why when you're delegitimate or delinquent, that might be a different word. You're ignoring the tie that binds, right? So your religion discusses the binds with each other and our binds with the holy. Now, in modern times, we just think about it as our subjective binds with the holy, but that's not necessarily true. This could all be one soup of ties in which our religion, our understanding of the ties that bind and make meaning of our lives include how we treat people with respect to property, how we treat people with respect to civil society. That's not market-based series of interactions, or non-market-based, depending on your religion. How you treat your understanding of statehood can be tied to your religion. It doesn't need to be distinct, right? It doesn't need to be distinct. For example, if we wanted to abrogate Vatican City, the Catholics would have something to do with that, and they would probably tell you that Catholicism says that that's their city, right? If we wanted to do something with Salt Lake City, the Mormons or the LDS would have something to say about that being their city, or Mecca or Medina. We'd have a problem with Islam. Now, happily, those places don't have other people in them right now. But the casual assumption that you could abstract religion from property claims, from civil claims, from family claims, from political claims is an assumption. You can, but it's not necessary. So those people who say that their Judaism says that Israel should be a Jewish nation, a Jewish state, that could be an interpretation of their Judaism. And we need to understand that, one, we can't allow that for that kind of Judaism since there are other people on that state. And it's like an infinite borders. And there's There are problems with that intrinsically, but we can't casually allow for that. Right? It used to be the case that from sea to signing sea was like a Christian dogma. It could be interpreted that our religion bequeathed Christians parts of the Americas, and that was wrong too. That was wrong too, as a religious claim. Might be justified as other kind of claims. I don't even think that's true, but as a religious claim, it's definitely not justified. Right? So what you have to understand about property rights, civil rights, family rights, and political rights is that they're all different kinds of realizations of freedom. Now, there's different kinds of realizations of freedom. When I say different kinds, it's actually a technical term. There are actually particular specificities, and that means that they cannot be reduced to each other. Right? So in the pre-modern times, you can just reduce them all to religion and just say that everything's just an outgrow of religion. In pre-modern religions, that's what you can do. Well, one of modernity's understandings is that all of these things actually have a different shape, and they're specific, and you can't reduce them to each other. Everything isn't religion. Religion has to do with like a particular type of interiority and divinity, and it could be upheld in that sort of way. And community, insofar as we're talking about mutual support in terms of this interiority. But that's it. Like your religion can go pretty much, can be as meaningful as a group class in AA. Everyone's kind of dealing with their own internal thing together and form a community out of that. That's the kind of religion that modernity can uphold. Right? And respect that as a realization of freedom, that kind of moral community as a realization of freedom. Now, when you say that, well, I should be able to extend property to my moral community, and I should be able to and they shouldn't be able to compete in civil relations like everybody else competes within my moral community, that gets a little bit dicey, right? And so we have to talk about how these religious communities then start to bleed in modernity onto civil and family and political rights and obstruct those political rights. And the fact that these other rights can kind of overwhelm and negate the claims of other rights means that these specific sorts of rights are all autonomous. To be autonomous means you can negate that which would impose itself upon you. You are not governed externally, you are governed internally. You are governed by your own will, not externally. See, slaves were not autonomous. Their will was the will of the master. Right? Free people are supposed to be autonomous. That means what they do of their own. It can be in concert with other people, but is not determined by other people. Right? So if you're autonomous, that means you can negate that which would have its will realized through you. I always say that if you're not really free, or you're not really autonomous, if you have a plan and they have a plan, their plan includes you, and you cannot say no to their plan, then you are not free. You are just a tool for them. Right? So part of being autonomous is not being a tool for others. Right? So each one of these specific forms of freedom are autonomous insofar as they can negate and make tools out of the other forms of relations. But that's a problem. They're specific insofar as you cannot reduce one to another, and they're autonomous insofar as they can negate each other. But their specificity and autonomy, when put together, allows for a kind of harmony where all of them can be realized. We just have to work out how you can realize family freedom, which is distinct from civil freedom, which is distinct from political freedom, which is distinct from religious freedom. They are specific insofar as they cannot be reduced to each other. They are autonomous insofar as they can negate each other, but their specificity and autonomy means that they can be realized in harmony with each other when we actually think through each in their own domain and how they can mutually support each other, right? So in Israel, you do not have a harmonious realization of all freedom. What you have is like a religious autocracy where religion overwhelms the political freedoms of other people, and it overwhelms the family freedom and the property rights of other people, right? So your religion has to stay within this moral community sense if it's going to be actually be able to be supported by the modern state, which realizes all of these other forms of freedom without letting one overrun the other, right? So once again, to be autonomous is to be able to negate the plans or designs or the will of external forces that would determine your actions, right? This is why slaves were not autonomous. They could not negate the will of their master. They were just tools. If you're just a tool, you're not autonomous. But you are just a tool if you cannot negate the plans and the will of other people who have designs on you. And in this world, a lot of other people have designs on you, right? So they are states. There are religions that make property claims, right? So those are going to be pre-modern religions. And you can't say that they're not really religions. Actually, those are. They're just pre-modern religions insofar as they don't allow for the realization of other different types of freedom. Instead, they kind of overwhelm, incorporate, and make those other kinds of freedoms tools of itself. Pre-modern religions do that. That's fine. But if you're talking about modernity, where we actually recognize all of these different kinds of rights, then religion can't overwhelm property rights, like property rights, civil rights, political rights, family rights. Those all have to attain expression and realization in harmony with each other, right? So the casual assumption that Judaism can't come with property rights, civil rights, family rights, and political rights can't just presuppose these kinds of relations is ridiculous. Obviously, you can have a pre-modern religion. Insofar as the Catholics feel entitled to Vatican City, that's a pre-modernity. That's a pre-modern aspect of its religion. Insofar as Muslims feel entitled to control the politics, property of Mecca and Medina, that is a pre-modern aspect of their religion. In Saudi Arabia, it's a pre-modern aspect of their religion. Right? Now, you can have modern religions, which kind of relegate their purview to the moral sensibility of the subject and the divine, and can come into community insofar as we're talking about moral communities without making claims on property rights, family rights, civil rights also. But the moment that you force tithes as a religion, you're making a claim on someone else's property, not on their voluntariness of their property, but you're forcing claims on their religion. That it becomes an issue. It becomes a problem for modernity, right? I know with the LDS, they just kind of assume that you're going to pay 10%. I don't know if they force you to pay 10%. That would probably be a lawsuit walking. I suspect that they have the draft form all set out, and it's just kind of assumed. But I don't know if they can force you to pay that 10%, because that would be an encroachment of religion in a way that's unbecoming. In a way that's unbecoming of a modern state. That'd be a pre-modern aspect of their modern religion. Right? So the distinction between modernity and pre-modern religions are that pre-modern religions can include property rights, civil rights, family rights, and political rights within their religion. And so you can say that my religion says that, I shouldn't have to pay interest to you, and my religion say that you should have to give me this property, or I should have to give you this property. My religion says that I should have rights in this state and you shouldn't, or I should be able to govern the state and you shouldn't. You should be governed, and I should be governed. I should be doing governing. And you could say that my religion says that, I have all of these other determinations. I should get all of these other civil and property determinations. But that won't be a modern religion. A modern religion says that my religion is about my relationship with the divine and my practices and my relationship with the divine and my ability to form in community with other people with those same individual relationships with the divine. And we can talk about it and work it out and do all that stuff. But it doesn't give me claim on, doesn't give me property claims. Doesn't give me property claims, doesn't give me civil claims, doesn't give me family claims. I'm not in claim to your daughter or your wife and with everything. You could suggest matchmaking, but you can't bind it in through the religion. Is you gonna come say hi to the people? Hi, people. My daughter's coming and wants to come say hi. Hi.
Hi, people.
This is my daughter. How's your day?
Good.
Good. All right, go ahead and start your practicing, and I'll come in later. Okay.
Okay.
I love you.
Start my practicing?
Yeah, I thought your mom was gonna start your violin lesson.
Oh, she's not.
Okay, well then I'll start it when I'm done.
Okay.
Kiss my forehead. Kiss my bald spot. All right, I'll see you. Come say bye, people. Come say bye to the people. Always say bye to the people.
Bye, people.
All right, I'll see you.
See ya.
So religions can come with these other claims. They're just pre-modern religions. All right? Religions can come with these other claims. They're just pre-modern. You want to come say hi to the people? Hi, now it's an epidemic. All right. Say hi, people.
Hi, people.
You can wave to them right there at that camera. Hello. All right. Congratulations. All right, let me finish the show, and then I'm going to come, okay?
Okay.
All right, kiss my forehead. Let me get my bald spot. All right. I'll see you later. Okay?
Bye.
Bye. All right.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
So, religions can come with all of these other property claims and all of the family claims and all of that, but those won't be modern religions because they don't allow for equality of family freedom, property freedom, and all of that stuff. Let's have my kids on while I justify anti-Semitism. So DJ Monotonous. So he's going to be a problem. I'm reading the comments, and he says, his first comment is, "Can you explain this title?" As if like I'm obviously wrong because there cannot ever be anything as a justified anti-Judaism, and then he's just going to assume that he's right. But if you actually go back and watch the video, which a responsible person would be, you would see that I actually made the argument already. I answered your question, and you shouldn't just assume that you're right. You look like an ignoramus. This is what people who don't do the reading and come into class and then just kind of assume that they're right. This is what they look like. DJ Monotonous. Anyway, so yeah, you can't have a pre-modern religion that includes all of these other all of these other forms of freedom: property, family, civil, political freedom. And they assume to make claims on what those relationships would be, and they make determinate claims on them. Or you can have a modern religion that relegates religious sensibility to one's individual relationship with the divine, that can allow for a community of people who work this out. That allows for a community of people with similar sensibilities who can work this out and join voluntary associations around that, around this subjective disposition with the divine, but still allows for that to not overwhelm the market relations of civil society. That means you have to charge everybody interest or you charge nobody interest. Are we clear? That doesn't overwhelm property relations. That doesn't free and equal property relations. That doesn't overwhelm, free and equal political recognition, right? You can't have a religion that says, if I'm on a jury and the person accused is of my same religion, then I have to let them off. Or if their lawyer is of that same religion, then I have to let them off. You can't have a religion that way. That's just not a religion that is consistent with modernity. But it is perfectly appropriate to have a religion that way. It'll be a pre-modern religion. It'll be a pre-modern religion. Now, we can't have it in a modern state, but to call that not a religion is to not understand the scope of pre-modern religions, which used to determine all relations. Right? So you can have a religion that says, well, my religion tells me that I have to vote for the other person of my same faith. You can have a religion that way. Problem is that religion's a pre-modern religion that cannot be justified in a modern state that recognizes all varieties of freedom. Right? And, the U.S. is supposed to secure the blessings of liberty in all of its forms. Right? Not just religious liberty. So if your religion actually undermines political freedom, if your religion commits you to marrying a certain person, a certain particular person, whether they want to or not or whatever, then your religion's not fit for pre-modern the pre-modern society. Right? So and it's not consistent with all of the other freedoms that modernity recognizes. So I hope this has been clear. If you have any real questions, go ahead, put them in the comments while I wrap this up. I'm going to do another video once I shut this down about how Nick Fuentes is inevitable. Unfortunately, Nick Fuentes is inevitable. And kind of like the way Thanos is inevitable, where like he says he's inevitable, he inevitably comes, but you can still defeat him. Nick Fuentes is inevitable. And it's not exactly clear why that's the case, but I'm going to make the case in a video coming up. Hope this has been enlightening, and I will talk to you at another time. Peace. Oh, if you appreciate what I'm doing, which you should, because I'm not going to get money from certain communities, and then those certain communities are going to use their pre-modern aspects of their religion to try to keep me out of jobs and all of that stuff. Go to www.funkyacademic.com and kick in $5, $15, or $50 a month, and I will keep, giving you a quality of wisdom that I think you deserve. I think you'll have better arguments to deal with the myriad of people who are going to call you anti-Semitic, and you're just saying like, well, actually, I just cannot abide a pre-modern notion of Judaism that includes property rights and civil rights any more than I could appreciate a notion of Judaism that says, well, to be Jewish means to necessarily vote for or use my power as a citizen on a jury to acquit other Jews. Like that's an abuse. That's an abuse. So if I'm anti the pre-modern aspects of Judaism, I'm not anti-Judaism. The modern aspects of Judaism that understand it as a religion that doesn't overstep its way into property rights and civil rights and allows for political freedom of all the people in the polis, that is a quality of Judaism I can appreciate. All right. Thank you very much. And I will talk to you at another time.